Hello, and my name is Pete Rushmer, and I'm your host today of A Half Dozen Things podcast. A Half Dozen Things is a podcast for business owners just like you. Whether you're an underdog hungry for success, or you're already smashing it but want to continue to level up, we are here each week for you to get insight and learning from the very best in the business. No fluff, no BS, and no self-proclaimed gurus talking about how easy business or life is. So the red light's rolling, and welcome to today's episode of A Half Dozen Things podcast. I'm joined today by my new friend in Hungary, who I'm going to make a real effort to try and pronounce her name properly, and she's going to correct me if I'm wrong. But apparently everyone gets it wrong anyway. So apparently I'm not. It's not just me. But Burcu from JOYY is joining me today for the podcast. Really excited to be speaking to you. We met on LinkedIn recently, following a speaker networking organised by Elliot Cake, which is really exciting and something that we both enjoy doing. And Burcu listened to my talk that I was doing around the performance trifecta, and we had a bit of a chat online, and we caught up recently and was like, we need to do a podcast. So today we're recording A Half Dozen Things, and Burcu has set 6 things that we're going to talk about, including authenticity, she moved to the US, right? This woman, she moved to the US without being able to speak English, which I think is incredible. So I'm really interested to hear more about that and her story around NLP, coaching, the importance of motivation, as well as JOYY, which I believe is a coaching practice. So really looking forward to speaking to you today. For the benefit of the listeners, are you able to just do a better job of the hash that I've just made of introducing you and tell us a bit more about you, Burcu?
Thank you, Pete. I am happy to be here, and thank you for the effort of saying my name. I know it's a struggle for everyone in the world, and when I meet people, I tell them, they ask me, what's your name? And I said, it's a struggle, because it's a struggle to say it. So it's definitely fine. What I do, who am I? I am Burcu Onaranel Erten. I am originally from Turkey. I am the owner of JOYY LLC, JOYY with 2 Ys. And I will tell why there's another extra Y in a minute. And I'm an international motivational speaker, NLP master practitioner, motivational professional, certified life coach, and I am a brand specialist. I work with entrepreneurs, speakers, coaches to create their authentic brand, as well as motivating them to do what they meant to do in this life. Because sometimes as an entrepreneur, maybe you feel the same way, or your audience, sometimes me feel like, I don't want to do this anymore. And that's what I come in and I encourage them to do what they meant to do. So that's a little bit about me. And I'm a podcast host as well, I forgot to say. And I will have Pete in my podcast soon. It's called The Coffee O'Clock. It's been around for almost 5 years. I interview guests from all around the world, which is very enjoyable for me.
Awesome. I love it. And thank you for doing that. And I'm going to be adding the link in the show notes for this podcast today. So whether you're listening on Spotify or Apple, or whether you're watching on YouTube, there should be a link in the text around the podcast, and you'll be able to go and have a look at Burcu's Coffee O'Clock podcast, which sounds really exciting. So let's kick things off, right? So we started, the one thing, the number one on your list is authenticity. Tell me a bit more about why that's so important for you.
It is deep inside of my soul. It's my story. It is attached to why I moved to the United States years ago. In 2015, I was a human resources specialist in an international company in Turkey. And I had all the things that most people can dream about inside of the societal happy life, having a great job, having a car, having a family, friends, making good money. I have all those things. And on my 3rd year, I learned everything in HR. I managed 350 employees. I did recruitments, payroll. And then I thought, okay, what's next? I'm not happy. And I thought something was wrong with me, because every time when I wanted to do something, you can tell, and maybe your audience can tell already, that I am very high in my energy. I'm always this way. And imagine a person who is colorful this way and energetic all the time in corporate life, trying to do different projects. And I always hit the walls of corporate rules, budget, and then some social norms, being a woman in Turkey. And I was like, okay, I had to follow those social frame. My next step was to be married at that time, but I didn't even know what I wanted to do in my life. I didn't know who I was, and I thought I have to do something to stop this circle or whatever this is that people are expecting from me, because that's not my life. And that's how I learned how the mind works, why we do what we do. So that is attached to NLP. NLP changed my life, neuro-linguistic programming. I started searching how our mind works, how I can find happiness, how I can reach joy, which is in my necklace, my company name, because that's the highest frequency we all want to reach. And it has been the most searchable word on Google. People seek joy, people want joy. So people not necessarily want to have a Ferrari, a car, or want to have the big building or career. They want to feel good. That's the simple thing. We want to feel good and we want to be happy. And I was not happy. That's why I found what my dreams are, to become international motivational speaker, owning a business, and doing this, globally, internationally. But when I had this dream 11 years ago, I didn't speak English. I didn't know anyone in the US. I didn't have any clue. But that's what NLP does to you, or coaching, or if you really focus on something, you are blind and you just focus on one thing and you just go for it. I know it's not everyday thing to hear that somebody moves to across the world without knowing the language, but I am glad I took that step, because that's how I uncovered my authenticity, my true version. So that is the answer, long answer, but I had to start from here, because that is the story that people need to learn, people need to hear, because I uncovered the black ship, maybe the colorful ship I had inside of me. And that's what I do for the past decade almost, to help other people to do this.
Yeah, I love that, and I love your energy as well. So the question I really want to ask, because it's something that I've personally struggled with, to know authentically what it is that is my purpose and what is my mission going to be. And it's taken me some time to find this, which I've started to understand more about. But how quickly was that for you, that you found that authenticity? Was it like a light bulb switch? Was it like, wow, or has it been a journey for you?
It was a couple of weeks journey for me inside of the NLP training. I found it inside of one exercise that we had, which was a deep hypnotic exercise. That's when I found, oh my God, like I want to do this. And the next day, because I was traveling to another city in Turkey to get the training. So when I went back to my city on Sunday, I quit my job on Monday. So that's how it was for me. I was like, okay, I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to do it now. So that was not like a light bulb, but couple weeks after of digging into my brain and learning why I do what I do, with that deeper exercise, the last exercise we did really helped me to, this is what it is. And then I quit.
Amazing. Okay, cool. So we'll talk a bit more about that when we get to NLP in a moment. But I just want to move on to the second thing. So you're working as an HR professional in Turkey, in your home country, speaking the language, everything's comfortable, you're quite happy earning good money, and then you decide to go, this is it. This isn't for me. I'm going to move to the US. I can't even speak English, but so what? It's going to be okay. And I haven't even got a job to go to. So tell me about that. Tell me about what happened for you there.
I was not happy. I was really stuck in the culture, in everything. I was living with my parents, and I was always shy, believe it or not. I couldn't even raise my hand when I was in high school or in university. I couldn't talk to guys because my face turned into red. Like, I was super shy to express myself. And I think it is something to do with my relationship with my dad. He's a very traditional father, and he wanted me to stay beside him. So it was hard for me to leave for university, and I never left my family. And I thought, for me to be able to change, find out what's other side of this comfort zone, I call it the bubble. I was in the bubble and I couldn't breathe anymore. So I was like, okay, I'm already desperate. What could go wrong? Because I'm not living my life. This life doesn't belong to me. So that's why I had my savings, and I said, I have the money, I have the desire, I have everything. It was hard to convince my dad, but at the end of couple of weeks, I was able to convince him, and he supported me after all. And then in 3 months, I moved to the United States. From the time I quit, after 3 months, I was in Los Angeles.
Wow. Wow. Did you have family there? Did you know anybody? Was it, and why LA? What was like what's going on in your head at this time?
I had been to LA 3 years before that time, and I felt that connection. It's hard to explain. If you feel it, you feel it. And I remember when I was going back to Turkey from a trip, I thought, I will see you again. Like, I will come here again. I don't know when and why, but the core reason was NLP. I wanted to learn more of neurolinguistic programming, and NLP was born in Los Angeles. It was born in California. At that time, Richard Bandler, who was the founder, Tony Robbins, who used NLP, like all those people, Brandon Bouchard, they were all in California. So I was like, I need to go there. So that's how I found UCLA program. And then I went to UCI, University of California, Irvine. So that's how everything got connected.
Fantastic. Okay, cool. So, and how long did you spend in LA? How long did you live there for? And how long did it take you to master English? Because your English is amazing. How long has that taken?
Thank you. I am still learning. I spent 6 months without speaking. My first 6 months, I was just listening to people and having headache all the time because I was trying to figure out what they are saying, and I wanted to speak. So it took me, so I lived in LA 1 year, first of all, and then I moved to Orange County and lived 3 years there. So total 4 years in the US. And my English got better probably within 10 months, 10, 11 months. And then after a year, I joined Toastmasters, a speaking club, to improve my fluency. And that's really helped me to improve my English and also improving my speaking skills.
Love that. Yeah. And we spoke before, didn't we, before the podcast about Toastmasters. If people are listening to this, highly recommend it. I'm going to be joining Burcu on a couple of her Toastmasters that she attends, and just visit, because it's a few years since I went. But when I first started, prior to NLP, prior to anything, when I first set up my business 5 years ago, I was like, I'm going to have to get up and speak in front of people to deliver training and that kind of stuff. And I've been and done my training qualification, but I felt that I still needed to be able to master that influence of being able to speak in front of people and be clear in the language that I used. And I went to Toastmasters for a period of time, and I loved it. It was really, really good. It's a really good pathway for people to be able to get up. And in fact, up there is a best speaker. I don't know if you can see the best speaker
yes.
bookmark. It's literally just there. That's from Toastmasters above my head. So Yeah, proudly sits up there. I was really pleased with that, and that's just a little mark of where it all started and where it's come from. So cool. So it sounds like, so moving on to NLP for you, which is neuro-linguistic programming for those people that haven't come across NLP before. Now, we're both master practitioners. I trained here in the UK with a company called Magenta Coaching Solutions. And I've had Bevis on the podcast before, who was my trainer. It sounded like you trained in Turkey initially, then went to America, and then you sort of continued your professional development there. So I guess the first question is tell me a bit more about how NLP has impacted your life and why it's like number 3 or the third thing on the list, because obviously it's important to you and has had a huge influence. So tell me about that and like the journey that's taken you on.
I was always interested in psychology. I wanted to be a psychologist, but it didn't happen because of so many things. I told you I was shy. I couldn't pursue what I wanted to do. So I was like, I really want to learn how our mind works. So NLP really helped me, and I think helps everyone to clarify our thoughts and beliefs, emotions. Like it really put things like in order, or like in a very, if you imagine like a whiteboard, you see, that's why I'm doing that. This is because I feel this way. And then when you clarify all those beliefs and emotions we all have, it's so easier to make a decision. That's how my decision was easier, because I didn't want to feel desperate all my life and regretful. I wanted to feel the joy, the freedom. And that's why everything takes some risks and everything brings its own pros and cons. And I'm like, okay, I accept whatever happens with this. So that's how NLP helped me to, I never left my family, which is very hard to move across the world without having anyone and not speaking the language, not having a job. And that really helped me. Okay, you will have the power. And I'm a huge believer in the universe. I'm a very spiritual person. So that's why I started practicing that too. Like I believed angels and everything has been helping me since the moment I made that decision. I never felt homesick when I was in the US. So that's how NLP helps. It's very powerful. If you want to make a huge decision, it's so powerful.
Awesome. Okay, cool. And yeah, I'm a big advocate for NLP as well. I know that some people listening will go, "Oh, I'm not sure what this is," and go and have a look at it. But there's some really fantastic teachers out there, and people and resources. Certainly, like you've mentioned, some greats there with Bandler and Robbins and Bouchard. What a great book that is, by the way. High Performance Habits by Brendan Bouchard. Love that book. Yeah, fantastic. Yes. Okay, cool. So the next thing for us to speak about is coaching. So you're coaching at the moment. Have you had breakthrough coaching? Have you received coaching? Tell me about your coaching journey and experience.
Yes, I started taking coaching before I decided to be a coach, actually. When I was in the university, there was a program that I could join, and I joined. I was coached, and I really enjoyed how the woman who was the manager of the club at that time doing the session with me. And I was like, this is very helpful. And I really liked her space. Like, it's so cool to be on her side, achieving all those things, and then just having the good peace of mind and sharing these powerful thoughts, powerful questions. And she was giving me advice at that time too, but as a coach, you're not allowed to give advice on ICF rules. But I really enjoyed at that time. And then since that, I always had a coach. I still today have a coach. I believe every coach needs a coach, and everybody needs a coach. You can't do this alone in this life. So
Hi, it's Pete from Flagship Partners. We're proud to sponsor a Half Dozen Things podcast. Flagship Partners help their clients become safer, greener, and greater through a range of consultancy and training services. We offer audits through to risk assessments, contracts through to support with managing your culture, all the way from mandatory training through to management training as well. So if you need any support, please do get in touch with Flagship Partners today.
Absolutely. So I totally agree with you. I before I did my NLP practitioner and master practitioner, I'd gone through a sort of 12 to 18 month journey of my own breakthrough coaching, which helped support the journey of learning and helped, I suppose, influence me wanting to do better, because I'd realized that the impact it had had on me in my business, if that makes sense. Because I created this business 5 years ago, based on reading books, and my own personal development and professional development had helped me create the business. But I started to realize that there were some things that weren't quite right with my motivation and with my energy. So that was when I looked at doing some NLP coaching initially, or receiving some coaching, and it just transformed my outlook, my happiness, my motivation for work and all of those things. And I was like, wow, if I can have this impact, if I learn how to do that too, I can, that sounds like that's a really good mission for me to go and help other people as well, particularly with the experiences around building a business and having a team of people and all of those things too. So yeah, absolutely. So tell me a bit more about your coaching that you deliver for other people. What sort of things do you help people with from a coaching perspective? What might people have challenges with that you would help support them with?
I use NLP and Reiki. I forgot to mention, I'm also a Reiki level 2 healer. I use Reiki, meditation, and NLP in my coaching sessions, as well as all the things I've learned from the training from ICF. So I mostly work for confidence, for people's confidence, increasing their confidence and owning their truth, their purpose. And I apply this to both of my clients, either who comes to me for personal development or professional entrepreneurs, speakers, coaches that I mentioned, because they need to own their authenticity, what I call, in every area of their life. And we struggle to own it from time to time, because we are, as humans, we are taught to fit in some certain frames or certain rules everywhere you go. Every country has its own rules, every company has its own rules, and you have a relationship. In your relationship, you have so many challenges too. Like, it's everywhere of our life. We have to be our own personal brand, own authenticity. So that's what I focus on. If I have to say like 2 things, probably confidence and authenticity.
Love it. Okay, cool. So if people are listening and they're interested in those things, then have a chat, right? I think that sounds really cool, and really cool things to be working on. So the 5th area is around the importance of self-motivation. So I can tell by your energy, how motivated you are. And based on my understanding of motivation, I can tell you're super motivated by your mission, your purpose, around your freedom, being able to do the things you want to do and when you want to do them, and having that autonomy to be able to make your own decisions. So tell me about why self-motivation you believe is so important, and having that energy. And also, maybe I'm interested to hear a bit more. Am I right around the things that you're motivated by, and are there things that demotivate you? What sort of drops your energy? What brings you back down to earth?
Thank you. I think this is maybe the most important question in this episode, if you are just listening and paying attention, because it starts with you, with us. When we wake up every single day, we either choose to make the most out of that day, or we choose to just another day, another thing that I need to do. So how I find my motivation, and how people who are listening can find theirs too. And everybody is different. I am a huge fan of meditation, walking, physical things, spiritual things, mental things. And at the end of the day, it's not for everyone. That's what I discovered for the past decade, because I worked with people from 23 or more different countries, cultures. So I discovered meditation doesn't work for everyone, or doing that the first thing in the morning doesn't work for everyone. Of course, there are statistics that when you do it in the morning, it's the best time for your brain, and that's what I prefer. But some people like to walk, run, or some people just like to do yoga, slow pace, and some people just like to do some housework to get it done and then have a peace of mind after the day. So you know what works for you. You don't have to do everything at one time or just one day. What I do is I like to create weekly and monthly plans, which really gives me motivation. I like to set up my meetings in advance, and I like to create time for my self-care, that I make sure every week I have a couple of hours that I do absolutely nothing. This is so important. Like, you're not watching TV, you're not scrolling down on your phone, you're not reading book, you're not doing anything. Brandon Bouchard does this, and I learned from one of his trainings. He said, I block my calendar for 3 hours or 4, I don't remember how much he does, and do nothing. And I was like, what is he talking about? When I heard this first in 2017, I think, and I didn't understand, and I didn't do for years. And for the past 2 years, I started doing it, and it really helps, because you are putting your, everything outside of your mind, you're emptying yourself, and then you're refreshing, and you find what works for you. To me, the most powerful thing is having coffee time, and I have a coffee o'clock exercise where I guide people to really decrease their stress and be present, because as a high person, I need to slow down sometimes. Like, believe it or not, I do slow down sometimes and pause, because that's how we make the most out of life. We need to pause. So you know what motivates you. Find your own joy. And the only way you can do this is to spend time with yourself every day before jumping into all the to-do lists, like endless to-do lists we all have. Put yourself first and then do others. You will find that motivation.
Fascinating. I love it. I love what you're saying around taking 3 or 4 hours out, right? So how often do you do that? Just every day, or is it like once a week or something like that?
Every day, not possible. And this summer has been very busy for me. I don't know what's happening this summer, but this summer I probably took only 2 days to really do nothing, only just a couple of things. And I'm gonna have my vacation starting tomorrow, which I'm so excited, finally. But not every day. If you can do every week, that is great. Every week, put a time zone for you, time period for you to do, like, if you can do 1 hour, that's even fine, but do nothing. That is the key.
Yeah. No scrolling, no reading, no listening.
Mm-mm.
Just empty.
Nothing.
Love it. Fantastic. I'm really cool. I'm going to try this and I'm going to come back to you. I love the advice. Okay, cool. So what do you do then? So obviously it's important to keep the energy high, right? So obviously there's time for peace and stillness and relaxing and having space. But then also the majority of your time, is around high energy, right? And getting stuff done and supporting other people and helping other people. This is the motivation, this is the energy. So tell me how you cope with, tell me something that maybe comes in and tries to disrupt that flow for you, and how you cope with that, because people listening will have that all the time. They're feeling motivated, or they wake up in the morning and they're like, oh, there's something I have to do today that is not good for me, or it's not that it's not good for me, it's just I have to do this and I'm not energized by it. Obviously, a lot of this is mostly unconscious for many people anyway, right? So they're just like, oh, not looking forward to something. How do you, how do we change that mindset? How do we make sure that we're going, it's okay, we're still got the energy?
First of all, if you really feel demotivated and lack of energy and lack of motivation, like really, if you give yourself a score from 1 to 10, 1 is you're desperate, 10 is your high energy. If you're 1 or close to 1, I really recommend, if you can, cancel everything like you are sick. Call it a sick day if you can. I know some cases you can't do this. If you can't, let's talk about you can't cancel anything you have to do and you want to change your mind. Then again, do something for you. What gives you joy? What makes you feel good? Whatever that looks like for you. Maybe it's taking a walk or having a coffee or having a chat with your friend or spouse, whatever that is. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, however you can do that. And then remind yourself, and here's the how I can share the story behind the why. Remember your why. The second why at JOYY stands for this. It's a reminder for me and for everyone who sees the JOYY, my company name, because everything starts with a why, a single why. We both have a why right now, sitting here early in the morning. We could have done something else, but we are here because we have a purpose. We both have a purpose to spread the word, inspire people, share our stories, and learn from one another. So, and then it could have been deeper than 2. You have a why, so remind yourself your why. If you don't know, find it. Reach out to me, reach out to Pete, reach out to people who help you, who can help you to find your purpose, because without purpose, there's no point to live life. And everyone has, even if you're not an entrepreneur in doing what we do, even if you have a, just a basic job, you have a why. You want to support your family. You want to support yourself. You want to live. That's the survival why. You have a why. So remind yourself that, and then it will give you the motivation, because now you understand, okay, my why is strong enough. I need to get myself together and do this. And when you start doing what you don't want to do, it will be just done. You will see, you will be able to do it.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. That sounds like really good advice, to be fair, and I love the way you've articulated that. So awesome, thank you. So we're on to the final thing, joy with 2 Y's, which you just mentioned. Why? So the last thing, joy. Why is so? When we do, there's an NLP technique which is making me think around. We do like parts, for example, and find like the highest purpose for something, right? So sometimes people might go to me, part of me wants this and part of me wants that, right? So when we hear things like that, we hear a conflict. And what we then try to do is we try to find the highest purpose of what these 2 conflicts are trying to create. Now, it's interesting because when I go, what's the highest purpose of something, is for me is around fulfillment, joy, happiness. And interestingly, you're going in the same direction, right? The highest purpose for something, joy. So Burcu, tell me more about joy and why that is your a half dozen thing.
When I first did the exercise you mentioned, finding the highest purpose, highest value, it was gift for me in 2015. And I was like, okay, gift. I like to receive gift and I want to give gift to people. That's cool. But when I really found joy was with the movie. I'm sure you know, and your audience know, Inside Out, the movie. And in the movie, it talks about the feelings, and there was the girl, Joy, and I didn't know anything about that movie. And until my roommate, who was living with me in Los Angeles, she was like my sister. She was older than me. She was wise and fun like me. And I was high. Okay, I was high, but my life was not good because I was just learning the language. I was in the middle of moving. I had some conflict with my visa. I had some problem with the bank. Like I was in a very bad space. But still, I was going for a walk in the morning. I was listening to high music and I was just smiling and, being joyful, but I was acting. I was not joyful. I was miserable, but I just wanted to prove that I'm okay and everything will be okay. And I am a role model. I'm working on it. And she stopped me and said, Burcu, you're not well. I am the first witness seeing you're not doing well. Please stop pretending. Please feel your feelings. And she said, I'm leaving for, running some errands, and I want you to sit and watch a movie called Inside Out. You're going to find yourself in the movie. And then when I come, we will talk. So it's a very funny but also very emotional, because when I was watching the movie, in the movie there is a part what it teaches you that we need to feel every feeling. We can't be always high, we can't be always down if we don't choose to. So we need to feel every feeling in order to move to a better one. And in the movie, the character of Joy, when she had to feel sadness, her life started getting better. Once she cried, her life started getting better, everything fell into the right place. And of course, you may imagine in that moment, I just burst into tears in the house. I was crying and I was like, oh my God, yes, my life is a mess. I don't know what to do. So I started, crying and putting everything out. And then she came right in the moment and she brought me an ice cream. She said, I'm so happy you cried. Here's an ice cream. Now we can talk and you will be happy. I'm like, okay. So that was the turning point for me. And that character really inspired me. And then I received from people, they told me, you bring me joy and, joy is you. So I was like, okay, that is going to be my company name, but I'm going to put additional Y to remember this. And then there's also exclamation mark at the end as well in the name. So that is the story.
Amazing. How cool is that? I don't really know how to follow that apart from Inside Out is a great movie, and it's a really, really good movie for understanding feelings and those kinds of things. So have you watched the second one yet?
Not
Because
yet.
I've not seen the second one yet.
Yeah, I want to.
Yeah, me too. It's coming. I think it's here in the UK. It's been in the cinema, and then it's like you have to rent it at the moment on like Netflix or Amazon. Soon it will be just watch it on Amazon. It'll be fine. Amazing. I love your company name and how that came about. I think that's really cool. I love that story. Amazing. Burcu, I think it's been amazing having you on the podcast, and I think the listeners, you're very different guests to the type of guests I normally have on here, and I think you'll have brought a whole new type of energy for people to listen to. So there's some really important messages in this podcast, so I'm really, really grateful for the time that you've taken to do this, and I really hope that the listeners do listen, and I hope that it helps raise their level of awareness around some of the things they're feeling, some of the things they're doing, some of the actions they're taking. And you do really role model what the journey of mastery and self-mastery and coming to terms with ourselves and going into the future. So I want to really say thank you for modeling that so well, and thank you for coming on the podcast. I really do appreciate you taking the time out. And listeners, I hope you've really enjoyed it as much as I have, because I've taken as much from this as well. Even though I do NLP Master Prac, even though I do coaching as well, there's always an opportunity, maybe not to learn something new necessarily, but obviously there's things to take away. There's things to go, I've forgotten that, or I need to remember to do that. And my key takeaway I love the 3-hour time blocking. I love that. I'm going to take away and do that. Great takeaway for me. And then also I've reminded myself to make sure I rewatch Inside Out as well, because you're absolutely right. One of the things coaching clients, most of my coaching clients are guys, right? And we're not good at feeling emotions. And actually society teaches us sometimes, like, for whatever reason, we start to believe, oh, we shouldn't feel sad, because people's natural reaction is like, oh, don't be sad, you know, and actually feeling the whole spectrum of feelings is actually really important. We have to lean into that to move past that as well. So it's been amazing. Thank you for joining me, and thank you everyone for listening, and I will see you on the next podcast. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I really hope you loved today's episode, and if you did, please make sure you subscribe and listen out for future episodes too. Please do share it across your social media channels. We hope to reach more and help more people. If you want to find out more about me, my name's Pete Rushmer. You'll find me across any social media channel, and my business, Flagship Partners, and we're your partners in success across your business. Thank you. See you again soon.